Hello. It's Chris Howard from Lace Partners, joined by the fabulous Debbie Mitchell from our team. You all right?
Hello. Very well, thank you.
Now, we're going to talk about CPO, CHRO, or just general HR budget setting season.
We are.
Because we're in that time of the year now, October at the time of recording. Obviously, we're live streaming this, but people watch this afterwards as well. So we wanted to kind of have a chat today a little bit around things to be thinking about. Of course, it's your birthday today.
It's my birthday
Debbie's
today.
birthday today. So, of course, we've got to make this a special live. Unfortunately, all of the Gannets in the office have eaten all of the cakes. So you can have a birthday biscuit. There you go.
Thank you.
So,
overwhelmed.
Let's get back to talking a little bit more about the serious stuff, shall we? So yeah, as I said, I think it's quite interesting because we talk to CPOs all of the time. And at this time of the year, the focus starts to move towards that 2025, what's on the horizons, what are my strategic priorities, but then also how am I going to fund that? And what do I need in order to be able to deliver on my objectives, which lead into the business objectives? So can you just give us maybe a few minutes of what we hear when we talk to CPOs, the types of things that they're thinking about when it comes to budget setting? And, maybe we'll talk a little bit about the health check stuff afterwards first, but just, I guess it's that, what's the kind of things to be thinking about if you're a CPO thinking about your future budget for next year?
Yeah, and it's really timely because at this point of the year, we start to see some of those publications around what should I be thinking about for 2025. You've got to get your New Year's resolutions lined up already. And we've just seen the first one that we've seen anyway, kind of launched from Gartner, with some really interesting perspectives on what CEOs are focused on, which helps us to think about what therefore the HR function should be focused on. And there's kind of three big things that they say are sort of changing in business that we need to be prepared for. One of those is growth through transformation, which is all magic words to us here at Lace. We love those. And that includes particularly things like digitalization, very difficult to say on my birthday, and how we kind of progress, and get more efficiencies, etc. through that. The second one is around AI. So again, that's not a surprise. We've been talking about AI for a little while, but what's interesting is kind of the progression from almost the fear of AI and the newness of AI and wondering how it's all going to work and are we all going to lose our jobs into much more of a kind of how do we integrate that now into the ways that we work.
That kind of hype cycle.
Yeah, exactly that. And it'll calm down and we'll now just be doing work with AI kind of supporting or helping us, but also therefore gaining some productivity benefits out of that, which, I don't think means we're all losing our jobs. I think it just means we can do more and we can, take out some of the simplified jobs. And we see lots of AI now in the systems that we're working in. Somebody likened it a little while ago to the old, I'm going to show my age now on my birthday, but the old paperclip on Microsoft Office, right?
I remember that guy.
It's sort of an evolution of that paperclip guy. So how do we get more kind of opportunity out of, our work through using AI to simplify it or to help us? And then the third one really is around sort of the talent strategies, bringing in the kind of critical skills, which I think are really about those first two. So how do we bring in the skills that enable us to support transformation and growth and tech and AI and, stay safe while doing so? So I think those are the things that businesses are really driving for as we go into 2025. And so then we have to think about how do we layer on some of the HR challenges to that. And I mean, Gartner have highlighted their sort of top 5, but for me, I think there's something, or there's quite a lot around kind of skills. And for skills, I would include, how do we do strategic workforce planning in a way that helps us to prepare for that growth and that technology stream. And some change management, which is a critical skill if we want to develop that kind of transformation approach. Interestingly, they highlight quite a lot around sort of leader development, a subject, again, that's close to our hearts in terms of how we make sure our leaders are really ready to support all of those things that are going to be going on in our organizations and helping people through those challenges. And of course, the ongoing sort of HR tech challenge about, are we ready? Are we cloud-based? Is it simple? Is it enabling a brilliant people experience and a brilliant manager experience? And at the same time, again, as we said with AI, giving us those opportunities to be more productive. So there's a number of things in there. I think from an HR point of view, then, that to some degree sets the agenda, but there's a number of things we can do to sort of help to think about how do we prioritize that. And, we're often asked about, how can our health check support? What does our health check do? I think, one of the things is just quite simply helping to revisit that people strategy. So if we think about what the business is layering on, how does the business want to support, how does the business want to grow, and how can HR support that? The combination of those two things in the people strategy is the key thing that we can look at and say, well, hang on, does my people strategy through 2025 and beyond really drive some of those activities that will enable the business to achieve growth, optimize AI, bring in the right skills for the future? We'd also look at a tech roadmap, for example, in a health check and say, what does the roadmap look like? Are you progressing in the right ways? Are there new challenges? Are there new technologies coming in, or new modular bits of technology that can support, the future of our organisation and what we want to achieve? And then thirdly, the talent landscape. What is SW? What is strategic workforce planning telling you about the skills that you need to bring in? And how are you set up to bring those or to develop them internally? So a whole load of stuff around sort of the talent landscape. There's also your own functional skills. So our health check would look, for example, at, what skills do you need? How do you need your function to be set up in order to achieve some of these things? So I think there's a number of things that are kind of out there on the agenda. SWP, leader development, HR technology, that might be kind of some of the focus area where you want to put your spend. But there's also the opportunity for a health check kind of approach, or a fresh pair of eyes to really look across the kind of the function and the plans that you have and see if those are kind of aligned and where some of your prioritization should take place.
Okay, so can you give me a little bit? So when we talk about doing a health check on my function or my function within my business, I feel like quite often when organizations are talking about it, can feel a little bit nebulous. So can we break that down? What is the kind of, you've talked a little bit around the bits that we would look at. What's the kind of process you want? Different levels of detail. Some businesses will be like, just give me the top line one pager. Like, what exactly do we recommend as part of when we get asked about, let's take a little bit of a health check of my business so I can look at what have we got for next year?
Yeah, and I think we have a fairly agile approach. So we can do a health check that is, suits your budget, but will cover different depths, if you like, across the HR landscape. So that could be anything from 2 weeks to 6 weeks. It could be really focusing in on one core area, like we might look at a health check on just your talent, or on just your talent strategy, or on just your HR tech landscape. Or we can look across the whole function. And what we tend to do is to start with a period of discovery. So we're getting in where sort of function and starting to think about or starting to look at kind of some of the teas, and we'll look at your plans. And then we might look at things like your processes, the experiences that you deliver to your people. We might look at the different COEs you have within your function and what are they delivering and how they're delivering it. And with all that sort of in play, we can do a bit of a feedback. So our summary will be or our end result will be a report, which will provide a summary. How healthy are you? Are you delivering what you set out to deliver? Are you enabling the business? Where might you want to focus your efforts and your budget in 2025?
Lovely. And so then obviously the next step from there is, okay, now I've got that, I've got a bit of an understanding. Now I can start to plan out my areas of spend. Is there any kind of final and budget setting season, and maybe I want to think about a health check? Any kind of final bits you want to leave anybody with?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say the health check's quite agile, so we can support you through a number of different ways of doing it. So ask us some questions about that. But also, we're doing this kind of thing. We're talking to lots of CPOs. We have lots of experience with other organizations. Ask us about that. We don't necessarily benchmark, but we can share some examples and stories confidentially and just talk about what others are doing and how that might sit with you.
Lovely. So if you want to have a chat with Debbie about health check, if you want to have a talk about people strategy, we can have an informal chat as well. If you want to have a talk to us about plans for next year, we've got a couple of networks that we do that we're talking to people about all the time. So even if you want to find out a little bit about those networks, reach out to us. But from myself, from Debbie, thank you very much for joining us on this live stream, and we'll catch you next time on HR on the Offensive Live. Bye-bye.